What's up? What's good? Matt Clark here at the new Matt Clark. How are each and every one of you doing on this amazing Thursday? I'm doing great. My girl's doing great. My family's doing great. Hope each and every one of you are doing great. And I hope you're having a great week. If you could please hit that like button, subscribe button, and that bell notification button so you get all my videos when they're new. If you could share with somebody on social media, help spread the message, help spread the word, that'd be amazing. And there's a PayPal option if you'd like to donate, help support the channel. The link is in the description of most of my videos, especially if you go back to the old ones. So what's up? How y'all doing? It's Thursday, beautiful sunny day, not too cold, just perfect for work. Love it. Had some fried chicken, exhausted all of a sudden. Exhausted. But I have a minute. So I figured I would stop and talk to you guys quickly and shoot a video about a very important topic and set the record straight. Get it right when it comes to bail. Because I think a lot of people, especially civilians, get the misconception about bail and think that the Canadian government is just releasing person after person after person after person on bail. But this is just not a reality. It's just not really what you would see if you were somebody who was in and out of the Canadian system. Me, having many convictions, only having bail twice, understands that bail is a luxury. It's not a right. I know that a bail hearing is your right, but honestly, most people I knew when I was doing my time never got bail. Maybe they got bail once or twice. They got a breach, and because of that breach, the government says that they can no longer be trusted and they're held in detention. But we'll get into all that. I want to start out by just explaining the process of getting booked, okay? So if you're a first-time offender, you're probably going to get what's called a promise to appear, which is just a promise to show up to court, basically. You know, they'll take you back to the station, they'll go through all that, and then they'll let you go on a promise to appear to your court date. But that is only going to happen once if you get a conviction. Maybe if you don't get a conviction on it, maybe a second time, maybe you might get a promise to appear if it's something petty. But the reality is that's usually something that is for the first time offender, so they don't have to go through the bail process. You're basically given one kick at the can without having to do that. Now, a promise to appear is not automatic. If you are on a violent offense or something very, very serious, that is going to be ixnay. No, it's not going to happen. Okay? So understand that. Promise to appear is for medium to minor charges only, typically. It's not, nothing is 100% really. You know, some things are, but not that anyways, okay? So if you get booked and it is not your first offense, you are 100% going to spend one night in jail. If you get busted at 8 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 10 o'clock at night, it doesn't matter. You are going to the police station and you are staying there until the next court date. They're never going to just ship you to court in the middle of the afternoon or something. It's not happening. So buckle down, because you are going to be in that cell for 24 hours. And if I could make a suggestion, when you get booked and you go into the cop shop, first thing you tell the cops, skip the interrogation room, take me right to the cell. You're wasting your time. Don't even bother taking me. Take me right to the damn cell. Make your life easier, because obviously you don't want to talk. You don't want to put yourself in a predicament. You don't want to put anybody else in a predicament. So skip it all and tell them, the interrogation room, take me to the cell, or I'm going to make a scene. You know, and they're most likely going to take you to the cell. If you're a guy who hasn't been through the system before, they might try and force you into the interrogation room. Say nothing. Don't say your name. Say nothing, because they will use it against you in a court of law, and they'll spin it. You know, they could spin something that's not even related and somehow relate it to make you a suspect. So just say nothing, okay? Then what's going to happen is you're going to go from the cop shop to the court at about 5, 6 a.m. and you're going to have to sit there for hours waiting to see if you're going to get a bail hearing that day, or a bail. I'm not sure if that's some people will get a hearing right away. Some people will have to wait. You might have to sit a week, 2 weeks, whatever, dead time in detention before you get a bail hearing because your charge is more serious. Maybe your lawyer is waiting for disclosure and information, so they'll put you over for a week or 2 or however long. I've seen guys wait 6 months to a year even to get bail. It just depends. And a lot of guys, their bail will get denied in low court and they will appeal it for high court bail, which is actually more likely, I think, but you pay way more, and it's a different circumstance. I don't know exactly the conditions and stuff like that, but that is it. So if you're blessed enough to even have a chance at bail, then you will have what's called a bail hearing. Now, some people will get bail set automatically if you're on minor enough charges where they're not really worried about how you're gonna or who's bailing you out. Sometimes they'll set it and you just have to have somebody who has that money in their account go to a JP, and they don't really care. But some people will have strict conditions, and they'll want a surety that they trust will hold you in line or hold you accountable. So in Canada, there's no bail bondsmen. It's not like in the States where they just set a number and somebody puts down 10% and they let you out. That's not how it is here. Here, during your bail hearing, your surety may even be called on stand, and they may question them to see their sincerity and if they believe that that person is trustworthy enough to let you out with them. Because believe it or not, there are a lot of people that run plays through bails, bail out drug addicts, and I'm not going to get into it, but they know that, and that's why it's like that, so guys don't just not follow the conditions, because the reality is, in Canada, you typically don't get forced to pay if you breach your bail. And if you do, it's 10% of what the number is set at. So if your bail's $5,000, the penalty will be $500. But typically, they don't even make people pay. They don't go after people for the money. So they want a good surety so they don't think that somebody's going to just cut on the bail. And they make it seem like they're going to charge people, but I've yet in my life to see somebody pay money for a breach. So I think a lot of the time you pay in time, because a breach of bail is a criminal charge here in Canada, and it's a high likelihood that your bail will get pulled if you breach it. And then more unlikely that you'll ever get a bail again because you just showed that you can't be trusted. But if you do get lucky enough to get a bail hearing, what will happen is your surety will have to have certain things. So if your bail is 30 grand or whatever, or 20 grand or 10 grand, the court is going to want to see that amount of money in your surety's account over a 90-day period consistently. The reason why they do that is so somebody can't just drop money into your account, you get bail, and they pull it out. They want to see consistent money in that account, okay? Then also, they're going to question your surety on if they're going to hold you accountable, if they're going to pull the bail if you do something crazy, like take off or disobey conditions, you know what I mean? Then if, say for instance, you used to be able to put like a car up as collateral, nowadays you can't. A car is seen as a value decreasing asset, which it is. So you can possibly put a house up, and in my opinion, if you put a house up for a bail, despite the fact that they rarely charge people, you're crazy, okay? Now, this person cannot have a criminal record and has to have a stable home because the chance of them ever letting you into a non-stable home with somebody with a criminal record is slim to nil. I know you hear it in the news and you hear it from politicians that in Canada, the prisoners are let out time and time and time and time again for violent crime over and over and over. That's why these guys reoffend. And listen, I did years and years and years in the system. Most cons don't get bail over and over and over again. If they are getting bail over and over and over again, they either have tons of cash, they can hire the best lawyers, they can put the best money down, they can put houses down, they have the best sureties, no records, no nothing, or there's something shady going on. Maybe they're possibly working or something, because it don't work like that, man. It just doesn't. In Canada, people are known to sit down for detention and sit down for a minute because our court system is backed up. And this is why I tell people, if you are fortunate enough to get bail, appreciate it. Don't violate. Follow your conditions so you're blessed enough to stay out. And staying out gives you an upper hand when it comes to sentencing, when it comes to these things, even to a trial. You know, of somebody who's breaching over and over again, that shows a pattern of that kind of behavior, is going to get sentenced and hammered worse than a guy who gets bail. Maybe he did do something wrong, but he got bail, he put his nose to the pavement, he got a job, he didn't break the law anymore, he didn't breach any of his conditions. That guy's going to get way less of a sentence than the other dude. And not to mention that, with your conditions, the way that you're treated while you're inside, these things are all going to make a difference how you behave while you're on bail. And just a word of advice, okay? If you have a loved one, a family member, a friend, whatever, whoever, okay, put their neck out and their trust on the line for you, because that's exactly what they're doing. Something like bailing somebody out can put strain on a relationship and destroy a relationship, because somebody might not care what you do in your life, how you behave, but as soon as their money is on the line, their home is on the line, their expectations of your behaviors could possibly change. And because they're putting their assets, their freedom, because whoever's on bail is most likely going to have to live there and be with them all the time, their freedom, their peace and quiet, and their peace of mind is gone until you are either found not guilty or found guilty. And you should appreciate that. You should respect those people. Don't take off on your bail. Don't disrespect curfew if they have a problem with it. If they don't care, then whatever, do what you want. But have some decency. It is putting a huge strain on whoever it is that's going out of their way and putting themselves on the line for you. And you know what? I wasn't respectful enough to understand that before. I wasn't self-aware enough to understand how selfish I was being at times, or how wrong I was being. But now, in a clear mind, I can sit back and think, man, like, that's a lot to do for somebody. To bail, if they're not your child, it is a ton to do for somebody. And even if they are your child, it is still a ton, man. And a lot of us take that shit for granted and will breach and breach and breach if you get the opportunity to. Because sometimes they won't necessarily pull the bail for one breach, but every time you breach, it's a criminal charge, and after you get convicted of a few of those criminal charges, your chance at bail, your chance at being in a camp, all goes if you do happen to get sentenced. All I'm saying is bail, first of all, is not automatic, so respect it if you get it. Nothing pisses off inmates more than seeing guys go in and out, in and out, in and out. Guys that are doing 20 years, 25 years, I'm telling you, seeing guys come back and forth, in the back of their mind, they're thinking, if I could only get a shot, because some people never get a shot at that bail or that parole, and they see people just take it for granted over and over and over, and I'm sure it's annoying as hell for them, and I know people have been smacked for bragging about that, bragging about how many times they get bail or how many times they get parole. So if you do appreciate it, and appreciate the person that got it for you. Now, with conditions on bail, you're most likely going to have, well, you're always going to have, keep the peace, be of good behavior. You're going to have, don't associate with anybody with a criminal record, which means at all. In federal parole, it's don't associate with anybody actively involved in criminal activity, which means somebody who is actively breaking the law or actively on charges. But if they're off parole, off probation, off bail, off charges for a substantial amount of time, you can associate with them, because parole is typically long and it's not realistic to not, work and all these things. But bail is different. Bail, it is do not associate at all. Now, they will give you conditions to not drink or do drugs. I don't think they do urinalysis for provincial bails, but what will happen is if you're out in public, you're caught with drugs, or you're caught intoxicated, then that is a breach. And a lot of people will also get a curfew, which is what most people get breached for on bail or on probation. It's curfew, because a lot of the time guys are going to have 7, 8, 9 o'clock curfews, and you're not going to be allowed to leave your house till 5:30 or 6 o'clock in the morning. And even if you have like a midnight curfew or something, there's going to be a 6-hour period during the day where they expect you to be home, and that is, they don't want you spending the night here, and here. They want you home every night, and they can enforce that if they choose to. Not every probation officer or bail officer will do that, but they can if they choose to. Now, there could be other conditions. If a guy's a hound or an ex-offender, they'll probably have a certain amount of conditions, like don't be around schools or 8-year-olds or any of those kind of things. Or if there's a fraud guy, they may say don't be around banks or on computers. Or if you're a dealer, they may say you can't have cell phones. Those are the kind of conditions that you'll get on bail. And if you breach any of them, that is a criminal charge. And every single time you encounter police, they're going to do whatever they can to stack breaches if you're on probation or bail. And eventually they start stacking up and start giving you time. I've seen guys 10, 12 breaches with one charge. Really, it's all BS. All made up, all based off the conditions loosely. Guys get breach after breach after breach, and that is the fastest way to tie yourself into the system for long periods of time. Obviously, I share my stories with you guys so you don't have to go through these things yourselves. If I could snap my finger, nobody has to get bail, nobody has to go to jail. Everybody can afford life. Everybody's comfortable, everybody's happy. That's what I do, but that is not a reality, especially in 2023. It's hard out here. And the reality is, you want to be out for your family. You want to be out just because of the state of the world. Who knows what could happen on a day-to-day. You don't want to be in jail. And sometimes if you're blessed enough, when you get charged or you break the law, you may be blessed enough to get a bail. My only word of advice, if you get a bail, get a job. Work a lot. Keep away from anybody who's got a criminal record. If you do feel the need to see somebody with a criminal record, do it inside somewhere. Don't be out in the streets or in a car, driving around, smoking weed, doing dumb shit, because that's how you get breach after breach after breach and get yourself on the hamster wheel in the system. I would just say, nose to the pavement, work, stay away from everybody, and make sure you finish that bail, because that is going to help you major at trial and at sentencing, at trial, because it's going to show a pattern of behavior if you're fucking around or you're doing anything or you get charged again. And when it comes to sentencing, it's definitely going to make a huge difference. You're obviously functioning in society, so they'll be more likely to give you a lesser sentence and send you home quicker. You'll also be more likely to get a parole straight home rather than to a halfway house, and all these things will lead to you ultimately being more comfortable during your trial and sentencing. So take my advice, man. Take my advice. Love each and every one of you. The New Mac Club.